Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Srinivvasan, and this is my 22nd year in the sports industry. I'm going to be speaking to you about converting passion to profession in this industry. Passion, as described by the Oxford Dictionary, is a strong feeling of liking something, an activity, a hobby, etc. That's accurate, but boring as well. Here's a better one by angel investor Naval Ravikant. Passion is what seems like play to you, right? But looks like work to others. Play. A word which resonates with what I'm going to speak to you about today. Sport is considered play in India. In Hindi, the language that we usually speak, there's no common word for sport. Khel is the word used for sport in Hindi as well. This is, however, slightly contrary to my life, my experience, and my work. But no one associates work with sport. It continues to be play. Still, play earned over 10,000 crore rupees, which is over $1 billion in the year 2020. Sports and passion tend to get confused, right? People think sports is passion and passion is sports. So what does it mean for all of us who are working in sports? Let's look at passion a little more closely, right? A recent study found out that a lot of teenagers are passionate about their career in sports. That was above making money and getting married as well. In fact, 3 times more important than having a family. That's quite an important data point because according to the World Happiness Report, happiness in the workplace has been lowest since the report has started. In that survey, 84% of the millennials said that they are in their dream job. If they're in their dream job, why should they be unhappy? The answer lies in differentiating dream from passion. Dreams, although personal, are often vague and fueled by the external. Take, for instance, a young girl who wants to join Nike. Right? That's her dream job. So a dream will be completed after she joins, after she gets the job. But will she be passionate about the job? Think about it. Passion, on the other hand, is not vague. The feeling that passion ignites, it comes from the pit of your stomach. You intuitively know that what I'm doing. Am I passionate about it or not? And even if you're vague, even if your words are vague, that feeling inside is not. It's a direct feedback from you to you. It doesn't get better than that, right? So either you're passionate about doing something or you're not. Passion also has a link to our mental and physical well-being. It's the one thing that drives us in times when things get tough. There are days when work is insurmountable. You're comparing salaries with your peers. Imagine you're working in an event for months and a storm wipes it out completely. You're fighting with your parents to say, I need to make a career in sports, etc. But guess what? The Cleveland Cavaliers in 2016 came back from 3-1 down to win the NBA championships. Liverpool came back from 3 goals down to beat AC Milan and win the Champions League. And who can ever forget that knock by Lakshman and Dravid in 2001, where they turned the India-Australia series on its head and gave Indian cricket hope that we can win even amongst the greatest adversities. So the game isn't over until it's over, right? And what keeps us going in those times? Why do we still stay the course against all odds? Why do we endure anything that's thrown at us? Words, action, challenges, anything. That is called passion. Passion answers our why, right? When our bodies and minds want to give up, passion pushes us ahead. And most importantly, passion gives us hope. On the other side of the whistle, the other side of the storm, there is a victory that you can savor. But is passion enough? It sounds really great, but is it at all enough? Let me answer that with my own story. I spent the first 4 years of my career in advertising. I continue to be a passionate fan. I naturally wanted to make a career in sports. I had no clue on how and when could I make that happen. Yet I quit my job in the Middle East, came back to India, and hoped that my passion will get me that job in the sports industry. I was out of a job for 6 months, lost all my savings. At that time, sports as a career never existed as a concept. There were only a handful of companies in India. You could be coaches, you could be players, you could be sports journalists. There were only about those few companies applied to all of them. I did not hear back from any of them for 6 months. And one fine day, I got a call from ESPN asking me to come for an interview. I went in, cleared the interview, and joined ESPN, where I worked for almost 5 years. ESPN is a broadcaster, as all of you know, traditional broadcaster. The job was to create compelling communication to get people to watch television, to watch more content, and watch more sports. My stint at ESPN started with marketing. That was but natural because I came from an advertising stroke marketing background. But I realized very early on that if I needed to get ahead, I needed to improve something called my proficiency. I was trained in marketing, but you needed to add more and more skills as you move forward. At that stage of my career, about 24, 25 years old, young executives are told that you need to stay the path, keep focusing, and ensure that the growth happens in that industry. But I had to develop my proficiency. So I ruffled a few feathers and got into the ad sales and business development team. It was very, very important for me to understand how that side of the business works. And it was, trust me, it was an awakening. It taught me to go out, meet new people, and convince them to invest in sports. I was fortunate to work on India's first ever intercity sports event. It was a hockey league. Unfortunately, it did not do very well, but the learning from that was absolutely immense. After my journey with ESPN, I joined the world's biggest and the best sporting brand, Nike. It checked off a big part of my dream, saying that I had always dreamed of it. I had always dreamt of it, and now I was working there. This was about 2008, 2009, when digital and social media was still emerging. I took up the additional role as a football business lead, which, as you will hear later, helped me in my career. There was no way to predict as to how my career was going to pan out. But adding to my proficiency stack at every stage of my career made me step out of my comfort zone and helped me going forward. I then moved to work in the biggest cricket league in the world, the IPL. And my job there was marketing and sales. Marketing because I was already trained in it, and sales because I had had the experience in the past in ESPN. If I had not done that, I may not have got that job or had to learn from it right from the scratch. It was the proficiency that I gained from that which inevitably helped me in this role. I worked there for about 3 years, and then I heard that a new football league in India, the ISL, is going to be set up. I got an opportunity to be part of that team, setting it up. There is, in my opinion, nothing more beautiful than helping build an idea from scratch. The scale and the pace of learning was absolutely accelerated, and you've seen the results. A lot of you may have seen ISL on television. So how do you build scale in these properties, right? How do you convince the same set of advertisers whom I was speaking to in BCCI would put loads of money on cricket, put money on something they had never seen before? And so on and so forth, a whole lot of other challenges. So just coming back to the fact as to ESPN, as to why did they hire me? I mean, I had no experience in sport. I was just a passionate young kid. So a lot of people would say it's passion. Yes, it's an important point, but it's just the starting point. You need to be passionate about sports, just like an accountant has to be passionate about numbers, right? So my interview was not about sport. It was about the business of sport. As to how will you increase the viewership of a new television property? How would you increase the viewership of football? Mind you, at that time, this is 2001, football was only about European football. So as a passionate fan and a marketer, I spent time thinking as to how could this happen? What would a fan want? And therefore, if a fan would want, how would a broadcaster ensure that they monetize it accordingly? So fortunately for me, I combined those two and eventually managed to get that job. Another critical part of the story is at that time there wasn't this much exposure. Right now we type half the word on Google and you get 100 pages. At that time even Google was setting up, right? So I guess a whole lot of research had to be done and speaking to a whole lot of people from a lot of other industries. For example, how do they retain customers? How do they get new customers? How do they launch new product, and how do they increase usage of existing products? So I used to speak to a lot of people and try and apply the same learning in sports. The third part, as you see here, is the personality fit. Now, personality is not meaning to be cool, but it's about am I really, as per my personality and my strengths and skills, am I really suitable for a certain kind of role? I was fortunate that my passion and proficiency got me jobs. But was I an actual fit for that role? I mean, is there a scientific way to prove it? Unfortunately, there was not. No assessment, no tests to prove that there would be, that you are the person who's fit for this role. Whether it was marketing, sales, business development, operations, some of them came very naturally to me, but the others, I really had to work hard to ensure that I became proficient enough in those. Now, let me ask you this. At this moment, what are the odds that there'll be a lot more passionate people than me in India? I'd say high. And what are the odds that there'll be a whole lot of people a lot more proficient than me in India? I would say very high. And what are the odds that there'll be a lot of people who have a lot of who have much better personalities than I have? I would say really very high. But if you look at all three in unison, right? And how many people would there be who have the mix of all three, right? Passion, personality, and proficiency to do the job that I do in sports? I would say very, very low. Because more than 20 years of being an employee, candidate, employer, recruiter tells me it's very, very low. The simple equation that you see on your screen, it's not just passion, it's passion plus the right proficiency which continues to build through your life, and personality, which is equal to a career in sports. As a candidate seeking to, if you're sort of looking to work in sports, I face three challenges. I'm sure it's been faced by candidates even today, which is lack of information and sources. Before we started our company, there was not even a website to tell you. Imagine a 10,000 crore industry, that there's not even one website which tells you how do you get to work in sports. A limited clarity in terms of what kind of roles available. If I join sports, what will I do? And even lesser understanding of what the business challenges are in the industry. As a candidate, I used to thoroughly prepare for my interviews. I was ready to speak about at least 3-4 strengths that I have. I learned so much about the interviews, company, the vision, the problems that they had, and always would have prepared questions in advance and answers with multiple permutations and combinations. As an employer, I faced a whole lot of other challenges, which were which would be long lead times to hire candidates, getting people from other industries, and ensuring that how to reach out to the right candidate. Most recruitment companies, what they do is they just flood the CVs, they just flood the inboxes of recruiters, and there is no right fit for the job. So on one hand, there are millions of people who want to apply for a job. On the other hand, there are so many jobs that people want to hire them, but it's a lose-lose situation for either. So when so many people reached out to me over these 20 years and asked me they want to work in sport, they hope to work in sport but don't know how to. So what would have been my answer to them? To say, go read these books, watch these documentaries, listen to this person, watch a game during broadcast, see what sponsors there are, or learn and come just as I have. It's not fair, right? So the idea was to create something very, very simple, something which is easy to understand, something that makes you job ready, and eventually puts you out there in the industry. That simple process did not exist. I waited and I waited and I waited for a lot of people to see at least someone would start it. Nobody did. So I said, what the hell? Let me see what I can do myself. So the number of sports jobs in India is supposed to grow at about 6%, and we are looking at about 40,000 jobs over the next 2 years. So newer categories like fantasy gaming, esports, etc., didn't even exist a few years back. Now, while these numbers are huge, challenges like this cannot just have one solution or something that cannot be done by an individual or one company. It requires an ecosystem. That brings me to SEED, which I will sort of tell you what it means in detail. When I started my current company, I was asked, what is it that we do? When I explained, we were not able to fit into any category. So we had to create a new category completely. the Indian sports industry it has a lot of promise. It requires an ecosystem to grow. But there's no one idea that sort of brings everything together. So SEED stands for, the previous slide, yeah. SEED stands for sports education, employability, and ecosystem development. Let me sort of break it down one by one. So education is no longer defined by a standardized curriculum. Most education, right, which is obsessed with grading and ranking students. Education lays skills on employability, skilling, learning, and adaptability, not just rote memorization. So C-Tech sports education focuses on how things were and how they will be, interaction with industry professionals who've worked in sport and not just teach, and a practicality for how the real world works. This ensures not only a base level understanding, but also something which makes candidates job ready to go and hit the ground running from day one. Employability. There was a time when good education would land you a job. I mean, you could take a certificate, walk into a company, and with some conversational skills, you will get that job. Not anymore. Don't get me wrong, education is really, really, really important. It lays the foundation of what we are and how we will be in the future. But other than being a doctor, a lawyer, it's not the only thing that will get you employed, right? So talking to, say, a young, starry-eyed, passionate sports fan, turning them into job-ready individuals is the way the future beholds. But what you know is important, but most importantly, how to apply what you know is even more important. So as I said, passion plus personality plus proficiency is the key. It's about finding the right balance between the three. Ecosystem development. There's an old hymn that says, no man can live as an island journeying through life alone. Exactly the same way, the sports industry cannot survive on its own. It requires a full-fledged ecosystem. You go to the next. Imagine a pyramid. This pyramid is only players. Classic example is cricket in India, football in Germany. The bottom part is grassroots, 6 to 12 years old. Kids above that under 13, 15, 17, 19. Then the second division league, the first division league, and at the apex of that, the national team. Please understand that this is players. But what's not evident from this diagram is the monumental workforce that ensures that this is running, which is all people behind the scenes, the kind of jobs that I have done. So for any product, sports, for any product, club, team, etc., you'll need a commercial team, a marketing team, a sales team, an infra team, a sports science team, a data and analytics team, and so on and so forth. But what sort of fan engagement, operations, etc. But what all of us see is when this is translated on pitch, what we don't see is the massive amount of effort that's put in to ensure that this comes out the way it's supposed to. There's a way forward, but it's not easy, but it's simple. What I'll do is sum it up with, for anyone who's passionate about getting into sport, a 6-step process. Step 1, testing. As I mentioned earlier, and repeating myself again and again, testing. How passionate are you? Which job suits your personality type? And how proficient are you? Second is consultation and mentoring. Please remember that a lot of us have gone before you and have failed, made mistakes, learned, and succeeded. Take advantage of that experience. Reach out to people in the industry. Speak to them. Learn their story. And ensure that you learn from those experiences. Third, train and prepare. There's a saying that there's no glory in practice, but without practice, there is no glory. Every athlete you admire, every coach you see, every team you sort of fervently follow, right, has gotten to the top, has got to the top because of one thing only: preparation and practice. So stock up your knowledge bank on everything that you can for application. While you're faced with a real world problem, you won't have your books coming to you, and giving you solutions. Take up freelance gigs in school, college, university, even if you're working. Get all the experience you can get working on ground. 5 is specialization. Bruce Lee once said that I don't fear a man who's practiced 10,000 kicks, but I fear the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times. Absolute classic. A lot of you have already chosen your paths. Maybe IT, maybe finance, maybe data and analytics. Does that mean you cannot work in sports? Absolutely not. You can. A robust industry would be when everybody sort of comes together and every drop pretty much forms the ocean, right? Step 5, which is application. Step 6 is guidance. For, all of us have gone before a lot of you and are clearing the path ahead. We understand what it took, and we want to help all of you avoid making the same mistakes. Not so that everyone can have a perfect career, but the idea is to make new mistakes and learn from them, because only that symbolizes true growth. With the help of, what we do is ensure that sports jobs aspirants take a patient yet determined approach, and we help them find the right job which is great as per their personality. If you're still confused after all this, please call us. World-class athletes and teams don't take shortcuts. Neither should anyone wanting to work in the sports industry. You need to take one step at a time. Take all the steps that increase your odds for success. And only then you will find someday that you've transformed your passion to profession. Thank you.